really gets refreshed a lot of times.
He is indeed. Again today, Ted Ryman on 2
Yep.
from Cape Town. Ed Worley down in SoCal. Hi, everybody. Welcome to almost our anniversary here later this month. It's a Friday here, at least it is in San Francisco. And in Europe, happy world. Can you pronounce that word on the top of that slide? We'll come back to that later. Yeah, we're going to talk about ETNZ is making more hay with that AC Youth team's nosedive and capsize. We have that video. The New York Vendée started on Wednesday. We have that story. Boris Herman still in the lead by almost 12 miles, 12.3 miles. Nice report as usual from John Emmett, the coaching corner. We're going to follow up with some Olympic video preview of the 470 class at World Sailing's issued. And then SailGP is our main focus today, as the Rockwell Canadian SailGP is tomorrow in Halifax. Let's get this one through the starting line, show 714. Welcome. I see Gordon Smith is on, Julia, from Denmark. Claire Harrington, the esteemed Vice Commodore of New York Yacht Club, is saying hi from Newport, Rhode Island. Beautiful Newport, Rhode Island, especially this time of year. Lots happening there this summer. And who else? Joe Holtzman up in Estes Park, Colorado. Rob Sternstein back on again. After a break, he's back, saying hi from Boston. Christopher and Jane Gillingham saying hi to the fellow Fozy and presumably Leamington in the UK. Fritz Mueller down in Miami. As everybody's checking in. And we're enjoying, once again, our 12-meter new intro video and music. Graham Sweeney in Yell, Scotland. Pedro, foiling sailor, nothing happening in the U.S. news today, Julie. What'd you think of that court decision yesterday, Julie? Do you want to comment on that or not? You and your morning lady were having I could hear it. I went up there to see if everything was okay because you were your morning lady, who is an avid never trumpeter.
Yes.
And you called the decision rigged, right?
Yes.
And she was saying, no, it wasn't rigged. It's exactly what should happen to him. So, yeah, there you go, Pedro Foiling Sailor. Nothing happening in the U.S. news today. Jody Shields checking in from Wanji, where it's wet. And unfortunately, Jody's radio show for SailGP is not going to be running this weekend. We hope he does soon, but they're looking for a sponsor if anyone's interested in helping to sponsor that superb radio commentary that he and a couple others were doing for several of those SailGP regattas. No politics, please. Ed Worley is saying, no, we're not going to do politics.
I agree.
We're going to do our sailing show, our 12 meters, and we're going to welcome you all formally to show number 714 for today, the last day of May, the 31st of May, at least here in San Francisco. It's already June 1st down under in Australia and New Zealand, and if you're further west than that, welcome. SailGP is our main topic, but I wanted to revisit a couple things from 2 shows ago. Remember when we had the video about Leo he was at the helm of the youth team for it's tell you what, it's going to be a powerful Emirates Team New Zealand Youth America's Cup team. And they made a bit of a boat handling mistake and augured in. And he was on the boat, and he said he only got his phone wet. He ended up on the high side, I guess. I'm not sure that's true. But they've made more video about this, so I thought we should play that. Here we go. That's actually the original video that we aired.
Go baby, we bringing out toys. Separate me from the boys. Chopper be singing, should be on the voice. Bang bang, we gon' ride out.
Remember that?
Gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no time.
And because there's AC-75s on a ship and there's not a lot of other ETNZ news, here is a video update on all of that from the esteemed COO of Emirates Team New Zealand, Kevin
We
Shoebridge.
decided not to have a two-boat sailing day just because it was a bit of a rinse and repeat of the conditions we have been seeing. So we just gave the full day to the youth and women. But yeah, they found the edge today. So we had a capsize. And it's inevitable that was going to happen at some point, but as they're pushing the limits of the boat up the wind range a little bit, it was only 16 knots at the time.
Yep.
And you know, they'll go back through it, but there's probably a little bit of a too fast a turn rate in the jibe, and probably came out a little bit hot. And next thing, the rudder came out of the water, and it all happened pretty quickly from there. But everyone's okay. The crew were fine. Ricky, Seb, Oscar and Leo on board, and for the crew it's not a problem at all. It blew out the jib, and we didn't have another J3. There's no point continuing. The breeze was only getting windier. So we'll come back and give the boat a good check over. It seemed fine, so yeah, make sure she's okay.
Yep, it was an impressive capsize, but equally impressive to see how quickly the team got the boat back upright and with relatively minimal damage other than the jib that we could see from off the boat.
Yeah, it is quite an amazing feature with these boats when they do capsize, and they do capsize, that you just put the boards back down and just check the boat back head to wind with the chase boat, just to get the bow back in line with the wind, and then the wind flow under the sail lifts the boat back up. So they're actually very easy to right, and the crew can just stay in their compartments. Just got to get one crew forward to clip a tow line onto the bow, and that's get the boards down, and she comes upright.
Yeah, brilliant. And yeah, like you said, everyone was safe and no injuries or anything like that?
No, not at all. Like absolutely, for any other boat that capsizes at 35 knots, no problem at all, and it's the first capsize they've done, and they're saying, look, we're absolutely fine. Like, you're sitting in your booth, and it's just, you know, you're forward and back, and no problem for any sort of physical injury, and it's more the boat you're worried about at that point, but the boat's fine as well.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, yeah, I guess as these guys learn that they're going to
Now, part of the reason they have to obviously do this video is because they're trying to create a circuit, a professional circuit. They're trying to sell these things, these AC-40s, and use them in this circuit and get it. Oh, somebody like you, Julia, could have one of these boats and be campaigning it. So they do capsize, but they're very easy to right, Julia. So if you're up there with Leo,
I do it.
you'll be hanging on in your crew pod, you know, and
Right.
you'll be fine. So that's Kevin Shoebridge, who's, you know, one very smart cookie and a hell of a good guy, and he's relaxed and obviously a good manager, organizer, running the team basically for Mr. Dalton. That was a couple weeks ago, but this from just this Wednesday, this week, and you know who that is, Julia?
No.
He's your favorite. That is Herr Hermann. That's Boris Hermann.
Boris Hermann.
From the Vendée Globe. Now, Wednesday was the start of the New York Vendée. This is the final qualifying leg from New York now back to La Sauve d'Olonne in France. And the Vendée will start later. Was it later this year or early next year? Now, I can't remember. But this is the final chance to qualify if you haven't. There are fully 28 boats in this race. Remember, they raced over to New York, had a big promotion there, and so on for a week or a couple weeks, actually. And they're now headed back after starting in that race on Wednesday. Here is a report shortly after the start from Boris.
The wind is super gusty and we're very close to each other. Also we're trying to make the ley line here to share the ocean waypoint. Another 50 minutes, depending on the gust, 30 to 50 minutes to the waypoint, so it's a little tense moment. We're very up and down, it's super gusty, a bit difficult. Talk later.
Okay, a bit of an abrupt end to that, but let's just check in on the tracker. I have that over here on the other computer. And Boris is still leading by, as you see over there on the left, over Charlie Dalan by 12.3 nautical miles. There's Charlie. And Boris in first, Charlie in second, Nicholas Lundvin on Wholesome PRB, who you saw sailing alongside Julia in that when they opened that video.
Right.
And he's in the hunt too, very close. So he's only a couple miles back behind Charlie. And you can see here, if I zoom out now on where I'm trying to, I didn't click to it. There you go. So there you can see the guys on the left, Boris, Charlie, and Nicholas. And then if I zoom out now on the tracker, you can see they've left New York. They've got that exclusion zone. They south of Newport and over under Halifax and so on. And they got to stay. He says they're trying to make that point of that golden kind of exclusion zone, and then across the North Atlantic to Les Sables d'Olonne in France. So that's the current status, and we'll follow that because it is an interesting crowd. And of course, when does the Vendée start? Why don't I know that? One of the Fozy will know that and tip us off here, Julia. One can only hope that you will. Mm-hmm. Because we're going to follow that. You all like that. We followed it intensively last time, and we'll do that again. So thanks to Boris Herman. And where's the comment? Somebody just put it in there probably. New data just came in. Boris still in the lead. Thank you, Fog Machine. Boris still in the lead. Lundvin's second now, so he's pulled ahead. Foilers are going to try to get across to the next front tomorrow. I can update that. Let's see the tracker. What comes? Yeah, indeed, there it is. 12 miles back is Nicholas Lundvin. Thank you. That's Lance Burke, who is AKA. And Nicholas in second, Charlie Dalan in third. And then Jeremy Bayou in Chiral is close up, too. He's a few miles back in fourth, as you can see in that. So,
Yeah,
Julia,
yes.
you were going to say.
No, they look like they're pretty well together. So.
Yeah, exactly. Should we look at a few other comments before we get into what we're celebrating today? J. Frederick Bland, some problems on my end. Finally here. Welcome, James. Boomer. He's made a submission that's in the show today. Mm-hmm. The Vendée starts on the 10th of November. Thank you, Ted Ryman. In South Africa, in Cape Town, Ted is. Thank you, Felix Feidling. There's Felix is on here. You must know Boris well, Felix, don't you? Boris being from Hamburg originally, now I think he still lives in Germany, but he's representing, the Yacht Club de Monaco? Is he representing Yacht Club de Monaco? So he's actually in Monaco, not Switzerland, if memory serves.
I don't know.
John Emmett saying that the Fozy will be pleased, and indeed we are, to know that Neil Collingridge is on the mend and back home. And the SoCal 300 is on. That's true. That's down in Southern California. That race is going on. And any other points here that we need to cover? You can't tell me that crash didn't cause whiplash, Graham Sweeney is saying, back on that Kiwi crash. Beautiful day in Newport, Rhode Island. Josh Tozo checking in. Josh, nice to see you. And tell us when you can come on and tell us more about your new job, because he has an interesting new job in the marine trades.
Does he?
In the sailing world, yes. Julia, what are we celebrating today? There's your clue.
Parrots.
Parrots. We are. Today is World Parrot Day, May 31st, 2024. Parrots are the loudest damn thing, right?
You're right.
Now, we have here, Julia, and it's our neighborhood raven, and we have some blackbirds, too, and crows, I think. I guess they're crows and ravens.
Right.
And I made the mistake of feeding the ravens some peanuts one day, and now it all but knocks on the front. It doesn't quite come up to the front door, but I think it every now and then
but thinking about it,
leaves a calling card on the front stoop, which is why I had to change the front mats. But when we lived in San Diego, in Point Loma, the Point Loma parrots are famous, and they fly across Point Loma twice a day, sometimes more often. Stop in your backyard, and it's awful. They're so loud.
San Francisco has its own posse of parrots.
Posse? Is that
Flock.
Stanford alliteration?
Flock.
Posse. of parrots. Fog Machine saying he hopes it's Jimmy Buffett's birthday. Okay, now I had to get into this. I had to look into this because on World Parrot Day, celebrated on May 31st, it's a day, and God knows where this holiday came from, but it celebrates the parrot as a phenomenon. There's a lot of videos. There's a lot of stuff about this. The order, can you pronounce that?
Oh, no.
Psittaciformis. I checked it out. Remember that French guy, that wine guy who had the beautiful, deep basso profundo? I had him pronounce it on a YouTube. Psittaciformis, that's the order, includes 398 species of birds divided into 92 genera. Parrots are mostly found in tropical and subtropical regions. The order Psittaciformis is subdivided into 3 superfamilies. Now, get this word, the Psittacidae, also known as the true parrots, the cockatoos, and the Strigopidia.
Oh, my.
Strigopidia, which are known as New Zealand parrots. You all with your Kiwi parrots. 1/3 of all parrot species are currently endangered, making them the birds with the highest aggregate extinction risk, more so than any other bird group. Just what you needed to know, right?
Right.
Claire Harrington, Vice Commodore Harrington is saying, yeah, the collective noun for parrots is pandemonium.
Oh, I'd love to know that. What a good idea.
No, Jody, I don't drink, as you know. You sound like I've been drinking. Psittaciformis. Psittaciformis, Julia. Graham Sweeney says that his ex was partial to a cockatoo. Well, I knew that would get a few jokes on here. We're celebrating World Parrot Day, of all things. We're also celebrating our foes, all of you who, especially those of you who are patrons that give us $1 or $2 or $5 a month. And we appreciate it because it helps keep us and our studio on the air.
Indeed.
Our streaming costs, our equipment costs, our equipment maintenance, and so we appreciate it very much. Become a patron, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. J. Frederick Bland is saying that Austin has a population of green parrots living in the tree and power lines near UT, University of Texas Athletic Field, about 2 miles from his house.
My.
3.3 kilometers. That parrot resembles Taylor Canfield. It does? It does? Where's that parrot? Oh, come on, Stingray. His dad's probably on here. That was Ray Davies being interviewed, not Kevin Shoebridge. Luca Craig, thank you, Luca. So I got the lower third wrong on that. Thank you, Luca. Thank you very much. That's Coach Ray Davies, the famously good bass player. Okay, Julia, I wonder what other screw-ups I have on here on today's show. Anything else? Nice shirt. Peter Selwyn likes my shirt. Yeah, I came down here, Peter, and saw Julia in her summery green dress, no scarf on. She's got her fabulously expensive South Pacific. Are those pearls? What are those?
Yeah, they're East China Sea.
East China Sea. Does that make them more or less expensive?
Depends on who you talk to.
Well, I'm talking to you. They're fabulously expensive, aren't they? Knowing you. You've got all this famous expensive jewelry. That's why we have alarms and guards here and so on at the Beach Street Yacht Club and the Commodore's quarters upstairs especially. My daughter had a parrot. That gray parrot was donated in San Diego Zoo. Good riddance, Joel. Graham Sweeney likes my shirt, too. I don't know. I put it on to try to match up with Julie because she looks so nice in summery and a blue blazer and my green striped shirts at the cleaners. Not that anybody cares. What they do care about is John Emmett's report, which is coming up next in the Coach's Corner. We changed that to Coaching Corner. John Emmett, of course, from Great Britain, our longtime by now friend. I've yet to meet him in person. Sweeney says Julia is priceless. Are they potato pearlers? Julie Ahrens wants to know. Are they potato pearls?
No.
What are potato pearls?
I don't know.
I don't either. Julie, tell us in the comments if you would, please, while we get the Coaching Corner with John Emmett on a walkabout.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fosey. So we're well overdue a walk and a talk, and it's a nice summer's day here in Weymouth, so I thought I'd make the very most of it. fact, this particular field has fond, I think is perhaps not quite the right word, memories, but it's where I took Lily for her active recovery. So probably she didn't like me much then, almost sort of forcing her to come out and jog around here and listen to me after every day sailing. But it's such a good example of a short-term pain for a long-term gain. In other words, by doing that little bit of exercise, low intensity straight after, it means you have a much better recovery and sail much better the next day. So here we are. Welcome to John Emmett's Coaching Corner. Today I wanted to make a big plea to make sailing more accessible. And everyone knows I'm a huge fan of the Ilka class, and I think I'll justify that towards the end of the video. But for me, there's three pillars. It's clubs, classes, manufacturers. And we need to do what we can do. Now, for the manufacturers, it would be a big plea to say, please support your class associations, because there's a whole load of volunteers there you can tap into, give their time for free. And obviously, the stronger classes, the more boats, spares, etc., you sell. So it really is a win-win. And I think that, you know, strong classes sell lots of boats, and you know, that relationship, one cannot survive without the other. And then personally, I'm very involved with classes, with the Ilka class, but also my home club. So I spend a lot of time at Castle Cove, where the social aspect is just as important for a lot of people, perhaps including myself, as the sailing. And those classes need to open their doors, and those clubs need to open their doors and say more people welcome. So a pay for play model, people can actually join a sailing club without having to buy a boat, so they can dip their toe in the water, and those classes can have trial boats so people can see what it's like but before they buy. And these are so important, because one of the big barriers in the modern cost of living crisis is that expense. And that's why I'm a big fan of the existing classes, because you've got that strong second-hand market that makes the door easier to get into, and it means there's established boats to race against all around the world. And I said, a plea to the manufacturers: if we try and keep our costs down, then it means they will sell more volume and more people can get access to the sport. So in terms of the pie, rather than trying to get a bigger piece, trying to make the pie as big as it possibly can be. Because as I said, for some small MNOs, the cost of Olympic sailing is prohibitive in some classes. And that nicely brings me to why I'm such a big fan of the Ilka class, the Ilka dinghy, because I just think for some small MNOs, it's the only affordable Olympic dinghy, and that's why it absolutely has to be part of the slate. So if somebody has a real talent, they can go to the Olympic Games regardless of the country that they were born in.
I could not agree more, John. And we coordinate a little bit. He didn't. I didn't know this is what he was going to talk about till I watched this video this morning, and spot on. And I'm glad he said it. No surprise he's defending the Ilka.
Right.
He should, right?
Right.
Don't you think?
Yeah. Yes.
And it makes sense. We got to keep that class in the Olympics, because if we get rid of it, we disenfranchise MNAs, member national authorities, sailing countries, large and small, all around the world. Alistair Murray said, "That isn't going to happen. Don't worry about it." I hope he's right. Now, Julia, back on John for a minute. You remember when he first paraded out onto the grass there?
Yes.
That's what it looked like. And he said in the comments that he didn't notice those kids that were photobombing him, or in this case, video bombing him. When he started doing his bit, those kids in the background ran out there and were going, "Oh, look at me. We're here. There's some famous guy over there shooting a video," or some crouton. They didn't know which.
Yeah.
Yeah, John.
I saw them going out.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. Thanks, John. Good report as usual, as always, and we really, really do appreciate it. The Coaching Corner with John Emmett. If while we play out John's theme music, you can see we've switched Julia's computer and program monitor. The program monitor is that bigger screen now. Point to your program monitor, the bigger one on the right. And that's where she's watching the show in her camera, which is right here, just above it, so that she's now looking at the program monitor and more at her camera rather than down and to the left, which is now where her,
Yeah.
and we elevated that other computer, which has got her comments. She's watching the comments on that computer.
Right.
Is that a better setup?
It is.
Good. John Emmett with the coaching corner. John Emmett Sailing, get to the front of the fleet. I love his theme.
Phil Canfield says the Ilkos are great, but very limited size of person can win.
Yeah, but as they stiffen the rig up, people get bigger. So hopefully that they're competitive. Great Hawaiian outfits today. Who said that?
Joe
Who's-
Cool.
Joe Cool. Bill Canfield, hello, Mr. President. We're going to feature your son here in a bit. 180 kilograms is a bit too light, John Emmett is saying. Okay, enough of that. Enough of his theme music. Thank you, John. There, ended up, and let's switch to the Olympics. We have 56 days only remaining, Julia, till the Olympics.
Wow.
And interestingly, World Sailing, I like the video. It's a kind of a 1 minute long video that they are doing. And if Felix Weidling is still watching, he will know these kids too, who are German 470 sailors. Felix Weidling, by the way, ran Kiel Week, Kielerfolk, for years.
Did he?
Yeah, he is now here in San Francisco. We St. Francis Yacht Club hired him away from German sailing, not the federation, but from running regattas, to run as our professional race officer, race manager here at St. Francis Yacht Club. Cool guy, smart guy. I keep trying to get him on the show, but he's afraid to come on because he thinks he might step in it. He might say something that, I think you, Julia, not I,
Yes.
you have a reputation for,
Stepping in things.
no, for getting gotcha questions.
Oh.
No, it's me. He doesn't want to come on because he's afraid I might ask him a question.
But I have to defend him because he's with St. Francis, so I'll defend
Well,
him.
you'll defend him because he's German, like your late great husband.
Yes.
And in addition to your affections, your well-known affections for Brits and Aussies and Kiwis, you have well-known affections for Germans too.
And
Oh man.
oh,
This is a good video, about a minute long, and they're going to apparently do a series of these. This is the first, saluting each of the current 10 Olympic classes, and this one is the oldest Olympic classes, even older than the Ilka, than the laser, and this is of course now the co-ed 470.
To start our series of class explainers, Germany's Anna Markfort and Simon Diesch introduce us to the 470 mixed dinghy, the longest serving boat in the current Olympic fleet.
The 470 has been in the Olympic Games since 1976, but this time around we are sailing mixed, so that is going to be a complete new challenge.
The 470 dinghy is 4.70 meters long, it's 1.68 meters wide, and the total sail area is 25.7 square meters. I'm helming the boat, which does actually mean I'm more or less deciding where we're going, and I'm also trimming the main sail.
I am the crew, which means that I'm out in the trapeze being the leverage of the boat. I make sure we don't capsize or flip. Next to that, I'm also trimming the jib, which is the small sail in the front, and when we're going downwind we also have the third sail called spinnaker, which is also my role to trim.
The 470 class is very special because you A, have to sail your boat pretty quickly, you B, sailing in combination with another teammate on board, and C, the boat is still pretty tactical. It's a little bit like chess on the water, as our maneuvers are quite quickly done.
We have a rule that allows us to pump, so we can unhook in the trapeze and use our arms at full length, and going downwind we can stand up and jump out again to just pull the boat straight, so it's really physical. The 470 can be sailed through a really big range of wind conditions. We can start in about 4 knots of wind, where both Simon and I are hiding inside the boat, kind of getting our weight inside because we don't have as much power in the sail. But then when it gets really windy, and we're just sailing the boat as fast as we can. So in the Bay of Marseille we get a big variety of wind conditions. We can get onshore breeze but we have the mountains and the city around, which also creates a lot of offshore winds, which make it quite shifty and puffy.
We also got our top guns in the fleet, which are really likely to fight for the medals, and we got the Spanish, which just got world champion Jordi Xama and Nora Bruckmann. We got the Swedes of Anton Dahlbeck and Lovisa Karlström. We got a good bunch of Japanese sailors, and of course we got us. We were also fighting for the medals in Marseille.
What do you think, Julio? You have a new boyfriend there in that German 470 sailor. Don't you think he's cute? You're not amused.
I'm thinking about my good friend, Mr. Herman.
Oh, Boris Herman. I hear Julie Ahrens thinks you're thinking about Paul Kayard, another one of your favorites. There's Andrew Barkworth. Hello, Andrew. Welcome. What do you think of Olympic sailing in Marseille, almost 800 kilometers away instead of Dalville, 200 kilometers? Well, the French, you can argue about different places, but they politically, I'm sure, have to help out various parts of France, and if they didn't do something down in Marseille, which is a big, politically powerful part of France. Right. By the way, I'm hearing from a good friend of ours, a Fozy, who's off and on here. I don't know if he is today, and somebody I'm not going to name him, who's living in the north of France, and I won't say anything else, but the security issues in Paris are increasingly difficult. They are shut because of the Roland Garros, the French Open tennis is going on now, and they're shutting the metro. They're shutting down the underground, the metro, because there's threats of all sorts of terrible terrorist things. Now, how are people, and of course for the Olympics, they were telling everybody, don't drive into Paris, use the public transportation, use the metro. Yeah. And are they going to shut the metro down for the Olympics as well? We'll see. But it's apparently being shut down for Roland Garros today. And it's a big mess. Today and this week.
I wish things like that didn't happen. Then somebody planned it very carefully.
Well, I wish there wasn't terrorism. I'm sure everybody on here agrees.
Right.
Some interesting other comments up there. J. Frederick Bland Boomer saying Finn has a pretty wide groove. Oh, wait, the IOC doesn't care. Well, at least World Sailing didn't care. John Emmett is asserting, and I think he's probably right, the 470 is the most likely class to lose their place in the current slate, of course, because it's the oldest class, but because they want to replace it with foiling technology, i.e., that switch. And John's done a video. I haven't run it in today's show, but we will when we have a chance. He and Lily went and did that switch, that foiling moth we talked about. Yeah. The latest and greatest, the one design, strictly one design, sort of like, what's the other foiling moth we were talking about the other day? The Wasp, the WASZP, Wasp. Germany 11, those two look like a couple of flyweights, J. Frederick Bland is saying. Did I read that one? Think It and NACRA, Bill Canfield thinks the NACRA is also gone. The catamaran. I hope not. The co-ed I like these co-ed classes. People oppose them. I didn't. I supported them because I think a lot of our sport is done that way. And yes, some of the assertion was, women can drive and men can drive. That doesn't happen very often, but still, it can happen. Boomer wondering if the mob still operates out of Marseille. We did an America's Cup preliminary regatta. This was prior to the 07 Cup in Valencia. We had the old IACC boats, beautiful fleet of IACC. In fact, I think it was the very first of that series of regattas in Marseille. And the crime, the petty crime, the street crime, I mean, they'd break the window in your taxi to reach in to get the lady's purse if she was sitting shotgun in the right side. I was walking down the street, and somebody stopped their car, and it happened to be other yachties, sailors, saying, you can't walk down the street with your little bag in your hand, my computer bag, because it'll get ripped off. And they'll cut your hand off, not literally, but they'll cut the straps. Don't do that, Tom, you're a crouton. And after that, we were afraid to walk anywhere by ourselves, let alone with a posse of people. It's a bit of a scary place.
Last time I was there, we were driving, and the game was try to find a place with a locked garage.
Oh, well. Yeah, it's a problem. Clayton Embley, I agree. Bring back the Star Class.
Yes.
Absolutely. Popeye Doyle for PRO. Okay. I like the video. It was a little longer than the minute I thought it was, more like 3 minutes, but a cool video nonetheless, and I look forward to more. And I would be remiss if I didn't end this Olympic session with this. They've settled the lawsuit, but this guy nonetheless, and anybody who supported that Crutonic lawsuit, ludicrous lawsuit, has got to go, starting with, including especially the non-sailing CEO, and the sooner the better. Okay, now you can all have a drink, because I know that. Ding, 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 cheers. Ed Worley's the first one on to say, cheers.
Yeah,
ding, ding,
cheers.
ding, cheers. That's the drinking code word. Oops, see that? He's gone. He disappeared from that slide, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
Drink, 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 Graham Sweeney says. Okay, let's get into the SailGP. That's our big focus here on today's show. It's happening tomorrow and Sunday in Halifax, Saturday and Sunday, Halifax, Nova Scotia in Canada. The first, maybe the last, because this team it had an owner and he was apparently a .com guy. No, he was apparently a crypto guy. And when crypto sort of went back down, it's back up now fairly well, but when it went down, he apparently lost out and pulled out of sponsoring, owning that Canadian SailGP team. They say that they've got a number of people interested in buying the team, or companies or groups of people. So hopefully they do, and hopefully this regatta will help cement that this weekend in Halifax. The best video I could find, believe it or not, of promoting this event this weekend was from about a month ago, something that CBC Nova Scotia ran, and they interviewed, well, have a look.
We all recognize the ferry crossing Halifax Harbor, but this summer there's going to be a new type of boat crossing. SailGP is coming to town. Tell us about it. Here is Phil Robertson. Phil, you are one of the drivers, or the driver for the Canadian boat.
Phil Robertson looking to duplicate what he did last year.
What is SailGP?
Yeah, well, SailGP it's a yacht race on hydrofoiling catamarans. They are 50 feet long, they fly above the water, they go up to speeds of 100 kilometers an hour, so extremely fast. You've got an incredible little harbor here where the racetrack's going to be.
So you're going to have these big, fast boats going back and forth. Well, what's the plan for June?
Yeah, we're currently in the middle of the racetrack, so you're going to have an amazing spectacle. You've got plenty of spots to come out and watch it and see, some boats going very, very fast.
And so folks who are on the Halifax side, folks who are on the Dartmouth side, they can all, it seems like it's going to be a big kind of amphitheater, a natural amphitheater for this big event.
Yeah, in terms of sailboat racing stadiums, it doesn't get much better than this.
So when you're on these boats, how intense does it get when you're there and racing?
It gets very intense. Yeah, it's extremely fast for a sailboat. There's a lot of action. We've just had a weekend racing in New Zealand and had 3 crashes in the space of about 2 minutes.
Oh, and this could be disaster for the German crew. Can they keep it upright? Just. Oh, indecision by Eric Kyle there.
Yeah, there's plenty of action to watch.
Canada's pretty good at this event, it seems. Like, this is the first race like this in Canada, but Canadians are already pretty good competitors.
And when they came to the line, it was Canada that would win race number 2.
Yeah, we're going well. The team is amazing. We've got plenty of locals from the Halifax area as well racing on board the boat. There's 6 crew members. And we're good. We're doing all right. We've got a few more points to get before the end of the season, but it's going really well.
So first weekend in June, that is when SailGP comes to town, the first Canadian SailGP event. You're going to be there on the boat.
We're going to be there, we're going to be racing, and we're going to be gunning for the win as well.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Tom.
Cheers.
Bill Robertson's a great representative for our sport. A Kiwi, of course, he's been helming several teams, but now of late Canada, and I think he's just a great face for our sport, isn't he?
Yep.
Articulate, bright, like a lot of these Kiwis are, and Aussies. Sometimes an American is.
Morris,
the Brits usually are.
Yep.
What,
Morris
Julia?
Stevens says Little Harbor, Halifax Harbor is the 2nd largest natural harbor in the world.
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
And of course, Maura would know that because she is our resident Fozy, who's
Yes.
going to be feeding us info all weekend from this regatta up there in her hometown, or at least her adopted hometown. And Jody is saying that he won hears. He says that there's an issue with the grandstand for tomorrow's racing. Apparently, the tickets have been sold out for weeks, if not months. I mean, this is a big deal up there.
Oh, that's good.
And they're going to have nice weather and a fair bit of breeze, from what Russell says. And talking with Stingray, or texting with Stingray this morning. So hopefully it'll be a nice weekend. Racing late tomorrow. It's noon our time. It's 4 o'clock Atlantic Daylight Time, local. We'll get to that in a minute. But the big news really has been the replacement of Victor Diaz de Leon, who was the wing trimmer. He's the one that, by his own admission, he pushed the wrong button, and then the team flipped. And I'm not going to replay that video for the umpteenth time. But he's been replaced by an Aussie, which has caused some ruffled feathers here in the U.S. But this is Jeremy Wilmot of the famously good Aussie sailing family. Jeremy there on the left, Victor Diaz de Leon on the right. Now, to be fair, Victor is from Venezuela originally. He's been living in Miami for some number of years, maybe even went to college here. I don't remember. Jeremy has been living, I think, in Newport, Rhode Island, but in the States at least, since he was in high school or just after high school. Managed, after crewing on various boats based in Newport, or with himself based in Newport, and boats around the world. A hell of a good sailor from that famous, as I said, famously good Wilmot sailing family. He then put himself through St. Mary's College, which has a great sailing team. So he also went to uni here in the U.S. And to call him an Aussie without doing the /USA after it, I thought was unfair. So that's what we did. Now, this whole thing I feel so sorry for Victor, because he's a cool guy and a good articulate guy. He's been a good coach and a great sailor, and he is a great sailor. He, on his Instagram page 3 weeks ago, ran this video. He took this video and ran it on his Instagram. And well, you watch and be the judge.
Hello, I'm Victor Diaz de Leon, and I'm the wing trimmer for the USA SailGP team. I just want to tell everyone what happened out there. I'm very disappointed in myself. While operating the wing, I chose the wrong function in my control panel, which caused our boat to flip. And it was very scary. I'm very thankful that all my teammates are safe, and I'm going to look into it, what went wrong, and make sure that that doesn't happen again. And I'm also very thankful of how supportive my teammates and my team have been with me during this situation. And I look forward to getting out in the water again soon and keep learning.
I mean,
oh yes,
I didn't quite cry, but it really it tugged at the strings of my heart.
Yes.
When I watched this, and I just saw it this morning. I found it. I don't know how I found it, but I did. And then I saw also with it Taylor Canfield. His dad Bill's on as usual. Mm-hmm. Taylor posted a comment on Victor's Instagram page saying, "You are one of the best sailors in the world and wouldn't want anyone else by my side. We keep building. Let's go." Mm-hmm. Well, that was 3 weeks ago. And how times have changed, because now he's been replaced by an equally good sailor. And this guy's a hell of a good sailor. I know him, but not well. I would never say I know him. I know Bobby Wilmot and Huey Trahan, of course, for 40 years, those guys, and Bobby as well, from, as I said, that famously good family of sailors from Sydney, from Middle Harbor Yacht Club, I believe. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Wilmot has been signed. This is now in the last couple days from the Team USA in SailGP. Jeremy Wilmot has been signed to the active roster as wing trimmer for the remainder of the season. That's season 4. Jeremy brings with him extensive experience in foiling ACATs, NACRA 17s, and skiffs, to say nothing of bigger boats. We welcome Jeremy to the team and look forward to what lies ahead. Well, Julia, it's professional sports, and these things happen. As Graham Sweeney says, time for learning is over. You're racing. Yep. Class act accepting the responsibility to that comment above from Ed Worley. Totally agree. And Maura Stevens talking. You want to read that, Julia?
Yeah. Maura Stevens says the first round of tickets for Halifax sold out in 3 minutes. They were released more this week, and they were also gone in minutes.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, you're going to like this, talking about tugging at the strings of your hearts. Do you see that picture?
Yes.
You know who that is?
Yes.
You know, he looks a little bit like our friend Bruce Smith here from
He does.
St. Francis Yacht Club. But
yeah.
of course, that is our esteemed Fosey, president of Australian Sailing. And he said in a comment I got overnight when he saw the promo slide for today's show, that's Alistair Murray, of course, he said the Wilmot's Australian sailing royalty. Well, we're claiming him as an American too now, having gone to uni here and lived here for quite some number of years now. So that's arguably the big story going into this weekend, because the Team USA at the press conference today, they had their big press conference with all 10 or 11, however many skippers there are now. There are 12, can't remember. And Stingray was watching it, and I watched it in replay, and then he and I were chatting, watching it in replay, and I was going to grab some of it, but it's frankly pretty slow, and it's 50 some odd minutes long. I was going to take an excerpt of Taylor, who was grilled pretty hard by whoever the MC was. The guy is obviously a professional media guy, I assume, from Halifax, and I don't know who he is. But he grilled Taylor, hey, isn't it time that you guys get your act together? And, you know, there was no mention at all about this, of the firing, let's call it what it is, of Victor, and the hiring now of Jeremy. No mention of that at all, maybe barely in passing later on. But he was really, his feet were put to the fire by this guy. I was surprised at this press conference. You can see it. It's on SailGP's YouTube channel, and it wasn't up yet. I saw it on, I get another feed, but it is up there now, I do believe, and to go have a look. I think Stingray would agree with me that it was a bit surprising that there was not more mention of it. That seems to be the big deal. Beautiful photo. What a beautiful photo with my beautiful granddaughter. Did I send that to you? No, you didn't, Alistair, but my Googling skills. My little fingers found that.
Yes.
How do you think I found that?
Yeah, it's a great picture.
And as you know, Julia, I don't use pictures that either I don't get people's permission before I use them, or they're already in the public domain. This, Alistair has forgotten, is his profile photo in his WhatsApp profile, which is where he sent me that message, and I saw the thing. I said, oh, that is a fabulous photo. I got to use it.
Yeah.
What a great guy. And thanks again for your AAAA on Tuesday's show, Alistair. That was particularly when he was in Japan, surrounded by beauty, including some of those beautiful Japanese ladies. What else is going on in SailGP this weekend? Well, Russell does his now regular Russell report talking about alliteration just before the regatta. It came out today, and he commented on the frictions within post USA capsize and closing the gaps on the leaderboard ahead of this weekend's Canadian SailGP, the debut such event. And Russell said at length, he said, Mike Buckley's team go into this weekend's event with what we now know is a permanent change to the crew, with new athlete, sailor, super sailor, Jeremy Wilmot, that's their typo, not mine, on the wing. Alongside their changes to their coaching setup earlier in the season, this means they're still, to say nothing, the change of ownership and Jimmy Spithill leaving and Taylor coming on, they're still in the mode of trying to settle in with yet another major change to their lineup. Listen to Russell. Racing at this level isn't easy, even when you've got the very best talent like Tom Slingsby, Peter Burling, Jimmy Spithill, Ben Ainsley, or Nathan Outteridge. And that's just naming some of the most talented gag me with a spoon drivers, skippers. The wing trimmers and flight controllers are obviously also key in maintaining fast, stable flight. Exactly. The grinders are also key, especially when the wind is strong or unstable, where active wing trim is vital. And we're also seeing more, Russell writes a lot of this stuff himself. And if he doesn't, somebody drafts it for him, and then he sits there. Because I've drafted a lot of stuff for him.
Yeah.
And then argued with him about this, the press statement or this, whatever this was. And, you got to be tough with him. Say, no, Russell, that's Crutonic. If we change it the way you want to do it, here's why. Yeah. Well, and he'll never give in. He'll just say, okay, you do what you think is right. He'll never say you're right.
Of course not.
Do it that way.
He's in charge.
And he's in charge, but he's also very good. Both sides of his brain work. He's an engineer, and he also is a bit of a wordsmith. Mm-hmm. The grinders are also key, especially when the wind is strong or unstable, where active wing trim is vital. And we're also seeing more and more instances where the strategists are now making the key difference at key moments. Remember when we played that video the other day in the back end of one of the boats, and the female strategist, now I've forgotten now who that was, was calling shots.
She was terrific.
And was terrific. And the back and forth between the skipper and the strategist, very good indeed. Fosey will remind me in the comments. And we're also seeing more and more. Okay, there's no doubt, down there at the bottom, there's no doubt the game has evolved to a new level from one where the driver, wing trimmer, and flight controller were the main protagonists to the situation, to now where the entire team is key, including the coaching staff on shore who influence key decisions during the actual race. Because remember, they're now wired up, and they can talk to the team and within limits, but nonetheless. Jody Shields, some big news will be announced soon. New owners of teams and new teams to be announced. Is that, as one hears, Jody, an Italian team? That's what I hear. Okay, so that is one more comment here from Russell in the Russell Report issued today. Conditions for the weekend are looking light to moderate. I actually thought last time I checked, I thought there was a little more breeze than 10 to 12 knots. But it is a northerly, which means it'll be offshore, which means smooth waters. That we do agree on. Mm-hmm. Could be a bit breezier than that from what I saw. Stingray, check me out with that, would you, or somebody else? Russell saying it looks remarkably similar to Bermuda. Regardless, the conditions look good, look raceable. Morris Stevens may know better than all of us. I'm therefore picking Canada, Spain, New Zealand, and Australia. Well, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to pick those 4 teams, Russell, to be the most likely teams to make it onto the podium. But whatever happens, it promises to be a fascinating weekend of racing in front of a hugely enthusiastic crowd. Well, one can only hope, Julia.
Yes, and that's what'll make it fun.
It will, and we will be tuning in. There it is. There's the promo video, Julie. Do you like that?
And for the first time,
see that? You're looking at it on your program monitor, and your head is up. What a big improvement!
Yes.
We've shown this promo video a couple times. Powered by Nature. The first ever Canadian SailGP event, sponsored by Rockwool, which is the sponsor also of the Danish SailGP team. It's this weekend, the 1st and 2nd of June. And the racing times are 1600 local, which is Atlantic Daylight Time. They're a further hour east of Eastern Daylight Time here in the U.S. 1600 to 1730, that hour-and-a-half window, which, if I've done my sums right, is 1900 UTC and is 12 noon here on the West Coast, Pacific Daylight Time for the start of racing, both Saturday and Sunday, in Morris Stevens, Halifax, the second largest natural harbor in the world. What, for extra credit?
And what's the first largest?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who knows? Good racing times for the UK, John Emmett says. ITA would make a lot of sense, John Emmett says. Yeah, I think you're going to see Jimmy coming back into the league with a team. Stingray says conditions for the 4 p.m. start looks great by the forecasts. Emmett says the largest natural harbor in the world is Poole Harbor. Morris Stevens says Sydney Harbor. We got an argument here between the Brits who like Poole, and we got Andrew, where are you in the world? Sorry, I don't recognize your name. It's great to have you on. Thanks for joining or rejoining here.
Yeah.
Argument between Poole and Sydney as to which is the largest natural. Emmett is maybe breaking the tie by saying depends whether by volume or area. Oh, come on. You got to do it by area, John.
Yeah.
You got to do it by area, right, Julia?
Yep.
Halifax was the site of the largest man-made explosion ever until Hiroshima. What was the largest man-made explosion? Man, we got a smart group on here. We've said that before, Julia.
We do.
Gold Coast, that's where Andrew is, so he is an Aussie. Okay, thank you. Andrew Barkworth. I like the name, too. Let's continue on here to, this could be a short show today, Julia. I told you it's going to be less than 2 hours because we're already to this day in history. And I asked you during the tech check, there's another name that I don't recognize, James Fraught and Halifax explosion. 2 boats collided in the harbor. It was the accidental explosion of a munition ship. That's Gordon Smith, who's a Brit living in Denmark. James Fraughton, where are you? That's a new name to us. Welcome to you, sir. I assume it's a sir, although these days, Julie, one never knows.
No.
And we are not going to ask our foesy to declare their pronouns.
Oh, no.
Man, oh man. What day? What day is this? The 31st of May. What happened on this day in history, Julia? In 1940. 40. You want a clue? James Fraughton is also in Halifax. So we got Halifax was flattened, Graham Sweeney is saying. Wow. Did we sort out which of those harbors is the largest, gents? Please, and lady. Morris Stevens, we're counting on you to sort that one out for us. What happened, Julia, on this day in 1940? Here's your first and only clue. One of the most famous photos from World War II. The Brits will all know this, certainly.
Yeah.
Come on, Brits.
Which battle?
One of the most famous photos in World War II. Who's the first to get it? No, not D-Day. Fog Machine, who is not a Brit. Bloody American. No, Niagara didn't freeze. Dunkirk, Ed Worley says another American. James Fraughton, he's a Canadian, right? So 2 Canadians and an American got Dunkirk before any of the Brits did. It is Dunkirk. That is, on this day in history, it took place over, 5 days. British troops await evacuation at Dunkirk, and they were strafed by the Luftwaffe. It was unbelievable, but they did get most of them out. The German invasion of France proceeded with unprecedented speed in May 1940, catching the French and the British expeditionary, there's some Belgian there too, force off guard. The German hook through France and the Ardennes had trapped more than 300,000 British troops on the beaches at the port of Dunkirk on France's northern coast, as well as Belgian and French troops. Okay, they got to that finally. This decision to halt an immediate attack, I don't remember this, I did not know this. The decision to halt an immediate attack on the British troops has been the subject of much speculation, including what this on this day website asserts is an unfounded assertion that Adolf Hitler did not want to destroy the Allied troops so that he could negotiate a peace deal with London. In reality, German commanders were worried about supply if they moved that quickly or too quickly, and the potential effect on tanks operating in the area. Attacking the troops was left to the Luftwaffe, and they strafed those poor people on the beaches and docks and in the shallow water and so on. Greatest marine evacuation in history, Fritz Mueller is saying. Looks like spring break in Florida, Gordon Smith is saying. I'm not quite so sure. Tom definitely has been drinking. His lower thirds are drunk and disorderly. Are they? What's wrong with my lower third? 31 May 1840. 1940, you're right. Julia, knock on that wall next to you, again in the control room, to the graphics department. The miracle rescue was by the small boats and yachtsmen. Ed Worley is reminding us. Philip Laffin, mobilization of civilian watercraft to aid in the recovery. And if you all think I didn't note that as well, and maybe why I chose this as one of, hundreds of things we could have chosen for this day. In any case, the ground troops were ordered on the move again on 28 May, 4 days after the halt order, the delay giving the Allies time to prepare an evacuation. In 8 days, over 320,000 troops were evacuated by a combination of naval ships and hundreds of merchant marine, leisure vessels, and other civilian boats that became known.
The little ships of Dunkirk.
And why was it so necessary to have the little ships as well as the big ships?
Because there weren't enough of it.
No. It was the way they got the soldiers out of the water onto the little ships, which then they could...
Oh, they could.
And, of course, we have a video.
These are some of the famous Dunkirk little ships. They heeded the call back in 1940 to cross the Channel and rescue hundreds of thousands of British personnel who were trapped on the beaches by the invading Germans. And did you know this? The little ships came in all shapes and sizes. Take a look at this one. This is Moonraker, 28 feet in length, a sloop yacht from 1911. And she is one of the Dunkirk little ships. But how would they have used her? Because you can't get many people on board because of the very nature of the vessel. The thought is that she was a sort of landing stage platform almost. People clambered out of the water onto her before climbing on to a bigger ship. But it does show that ships of all shapes and sizes helped the British evacuate Dunkirk.
You know that they repeat, they replicate, they celebrate that every 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a group called, that video, by the way, from yesterday. That video was published yesterday by what's called Forces News, which is a British YouTube channel. And then there is an association of people called the Association of Dunkirk Little Ships, which apparently has been going on since, shortly after the war.
Graham Sweeney says his uncle owned one of the little ships.
Called Truant. And Ed Worley and others, Gordon Smith, are all saying, that's how they did it. These docking facilities at Dunkirk were basically non-existent. So that's how they got them out, was on little boats. This is this yacht Moonraker, a 28-footer. I was hoping it was some kind of a meter boat or Olympia, and I see the sail plan. From the sail plan, it's not. Fractional rig, though. And it's apparently a sloop, small sloop, 28 feet, that was built, as they said in the video, in 1911 by a builder on the Burgoyne, they say probably is the Brits. It's a French name, it looks like, at Kingston-on-Thames. Carvel Spline Construction. So, this is, we try to find these things, Julie, that have got a yachting connection.
Yeah. When I looked at it, I thought it was D-Day going the other way because they did the same thing.
Okay, well, that's interesting. And Clayton Allen Embley, thanks again, Clayton, for the booze, the bourbon, cream bourbon that he sent us, among other things that we drank on Memorial Day, Monday earlier this week. The largest seaborne, I didn't, Jody. I'm not drinking.
He isn't really either, Jody.
I'm not. I had a little sip of either Julia's or Alfredo's. The largest seaborne evacuation ever was done by the U.S. Merchant Marine on 9/11. Over 600,000 people evacuated from Lower Manhattan in 9 hours after that nastiness. Okay.
That I didn't know.
I didn't know that either. Thank you, Clayton. One other picture here, this from Wikipedia. This is on this day. Apparently this picture was taken 31 May. Troops evacuated. As I said, it went on over 4 or 5 days, but they arrived at Dover. An amazing photo, black and white, but this was a high res photo. I don't know where it came from. On this day in history, the miracle of Dunkirk. Okay, a couple other comments. A lot of boats and sailors went from my hometown of Lay on Sea to get our boys from the beaches, Graham Sweeney is saying. Jody Shields, maybe you need to start drinking again. Nothing fun ever started by having a glass of water. That's true. Or a cup of coffee. Okay, Julia. Blake Middleton. Thank you for that reminder about the 9/11 evacuation. I did not know that. I've never heard that factoid.
Me neither.
That stat. That's very interesting.
That's a lot.
Clayton Embley is saying Charles Lightoller, the captain of the yacht Sundowner, was also the second officer on the Titanic. Was he one of the Dunkirk little ships? Wow. One boat hit a mine, the boats got strafed as well. It was a pretty awful scene, but it's still astonishing. Bravery. I mean, whether you saw them, have you seen the movie, Dunkirk?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, it is. There's several of those movies.
Yeah.
And the most recent one I was going to play the trailer from it, but it was so
I don't know.
depressing I couldn't. Yeah, the Sundowner was a little ship, Clayton Emily was saying. Okay, enough of all that. This day in history. But human bravery, amazing stuff. America's Cup. Shall we get to the America's Cup, Julia?
Absolutely.
AC37 Cup date, our regular Cup dates. Barcelona, that graphic is wrong. That was from Tuesday, so it's now 81 days and counting, or 82 days maybe, to the start of the first preliminary regatta. The preliminary regatta. It's actually the third preliminary regatta, but the first sailing in Barcelona. And as you probably all know, on Wednesday, the French revealed their boat. Orient Express showcase stunning design and livery. Yeah, well, that was the headline we showed you the other day. I should have said they didn't reveal it on Wednesday. They actually christened the boat. They commissioned the boat on Wednesday after revealing it late last week and over the weekend. Here's the video that the team released yesterday of their christening on Wednesday.
Voilà, globalement, la construction du bateau a 20 ans. La mécatronique, ce sont des termes que tout le monde ne connaît peut-être pas. Oui, c'est sûr que voilà, il a fallu près de 2 mois pour installer ensuite les systèmes à bord. C'est ça, ouais. Donc c'est sûr que les bateaux ont bien évolué ces dernières années, qui sont entraînés par l'équipe des cyclistes ou pour les foils par un moteur électrique. On vous présentera tout à l'heure. Par un moteur électrique. À vos explications que ce que vous avez, mesdames, messieurs, et vous qui nous suivez sur les réseaux sociaux en direct, ce que vous avez sont tous là, Antoine. Il n'y a pas que vous, surtout pas que vous. Levez les bras et je crois qu'on peut les applaudir, s'il vous plaît, mesdames, messieurs.
America's Cup dans le passé, et cette fois-ci, Grand Dalton qui est...
Et on l'entendra tout à l'heure. Merci Bruno Dubois, merci Stéphane Candler. Applaudissements encore pour ceux qui étaient au cœur, à l'origine du projet. Sur le devant de la scène comme il se doit. Alors, Manon, qui de mieux que toi connaît cette équipe? Comment pourrais-tu nous la présenter, nous les présenter?
Ouais, une équipe assez incroyable. Déjà, je voulais dire vraiment un grand merci à tout le monde ici. J'ai un peu beaucoup d'émotions, j'avoue.
Mais c'est normal, et tant mieux, profitons de cette émotion, servons-nous de cette
There is
émotion.
some English at the end of this, and I commend it to you if you want to go on their YouTube channel, which is quite a good YouTube channel.
Moment pour l'équipe. Merci de m'avoir rappelé que j'étais champion de Guadeloupe.
I see the subtitles because YouTube now does a pretty good job of showing subtitles in, gosh, instant translation into dozens of languages. And it's pretty good. I'm going to have to work out a facility to do that.
I think you can be proud of what is in front of you. I hope you will have a really good surprise at the end of August and through October. I mean, I can't wait to sail with it, and I'm really proud of what you guys achieved. Thank you. Régler un certain nombre de settings sur ce 75 pieds. Et en le présentant l'autre jour, Olivier Arlédan a dit c'est une très mauvaise idée d'aller
Julia, can you give us an instant Google-like translation? You speak French.
This is what the team who built the baby behind us is. So that is very important. On our end, tremendous amount of history with the America's Cup, but we don't want to settle there. We also want to continue to make history. So to the teams here next to me, let's continue to make some history. And to the defender, we welcome the challenge, and even when we will be defending, we will be challenging ourselves over and over again. So with that, let's get ready to baptize. Yes?
Merci, Hilda.
So they called it baptized, christening. The christening's sort of gone out of style as people are trying to be ecumenical, and they call it now naming ceremony. I may even use that in the show notes at the top of the show. Ed really is saying it doesn't matter. They're saying thank you TNZ, because that is, as who was it? Graham Sweeney said, that's New Zealand's B-boat, and it is. Mm-hmm. You heard Bruno Dubois on one of the other videos. I don't remember we played that video on Tuesday or not, but it's out there and it's kind of a boring video. But he said from the tip of the mast to the bottom of the rudder or bottom of the foils, it's the UK, it's the New Zealand design. Okay, they made some changes apparently to the structure, but it's their B boat, and the fittings, the boat, the canoe body was made up in Multiplace up in France, where they do a lot of their most big boat construction. Frankly, is up there, and it's a very fine shipyard. But that was the canoe body, and the deck it got, I guess, put together, then shipped down around the Pyrenees, as we speculated they would have to do that, go along the coast to get to Barcelona. They were there April 8th. Was it 6th? April 6th, April 8th. And then they've been fitting all the gear on it, which apparently also came from New Zealand since then. And now baptized. Yep. Vice Commodore, you baptized the New York Yacht Club boat. Christened, baptized. Either way, baptized with champagne. So that's the French. Now, I've got an article for you. I told you I'd wait until we had some expert analysis before I started taking some of this other, frankly, BS that has been put out by various YouTube channels and others, speculating about what the boats are and what they look like and what the differences are. Fritz Mueller says you cannot rule out the French, ever pioneers of foiling, great sailing. Yes, they are all of that. And Jody Shields saying Jason Saunders is on the French boat and he is a Kiwi. Well, maybe he even spoke. I don't know. But they are a day late and a dollar short. They do not have a chance, snowball's chance in hell. If that's my ranking, and I will stick by it. But I have found an article for you all, and I'm going to excerpt extensively from it. It is in Tip and Shaft today that came out, that super good French newsletter. And they interviewed 4 America's Cup yacht designers here in the last few days. And the headline is, America's Cup, what are the differences between the AC-75s? Now, I know all 4, I know 2 of them well. 4 of them, I'm acquainted with all of them. These are smart cookies. America's Cup, what are the differences between the AC-75 from today's Tip and Shaft? And Jody Shields agrees that I'm a great a ranker, not a wanker, a ranker. Thanks, Jody. Thank you for keeping it light and lively. The great wanker in the sky, ranker. The 6th and final AC-75 built for the 37th America's Cup, that of Orient Express Racing Team, was christened on Wednesday in Barcelona in anticipation of the first official confrontation. I like this translation from the French and English. During the preliminary regatta in Barcelona, 22 to 25 August, Tip and Shaft sought to find out more about the design of this 3rd generation with 4 French architects and engineers involved in the teams. Philibert Chenet, is that how you pronounce that? Who is with Ineos Britannia, Dimitri Despierre, whom I've done, I don't know how many campaigns with. Cool, smart guy. He's with American Magic, was with us at Oracle. Sam Menard, who's with Alinghi, and Benjamin Mule, who's with Orient Express Racing Team. Smart, super good designers, sailors, and so on. Why is this the 3rd generation? Well, it's because there were, remember, each of the teams produced 2 boats last time. Did each of the teams? Yeah, I think they all did 2 boats. So 1st generation, 2nd generation, they're B2, and then this is B3, is the 3rd generation. The 6th, the article continues, the 6 boats, which will be competing from 29 August to 27 October in Barcelona, are the 3rd generation of AC-75s for a 2nd generation of the measurement rule. The 2 boats were allowed in the 36th edition. The rules have changed very little for this edition, according to the architects and engineers, and are very strict, particularly in terms of displacement and the position of the center of gravity, not to mention the one design parts, which are the mast, the foil arms, and the jacks. In these conditions, it's not surprising to see, according to Dimitri, a clear convergence, quote unquote, on certain architectural or steering-related aspects. Quote, we can't analyze the profiles, the flaps, and all the complexity of the appendages on the photos. From the photos, I think he meant. But I noticed that all the foils are now T-shaped. with very similar and relatively small surfaces, meaning compared to last time. That's the lesson of the New Zealand design of the last Cup, and also the result of making boats lighter. Remember, they've taken some weight out of this latest edition. Notes the engineer who is embarking on his 8th AC campaign since his first as a crew member aboard Sixth Sense in 1999, leading up to the 2000 campaign in Auckland. Everyone agreed that the British boat seemed to be the most radical of the fleet, with its fairly high hull, meaning high freeboard hull, the bulge in its deck, and the very fine deep water inlets in its hull bottom, the famous bustle, which ends well forward of the rudder, unlike the others. Quote, the deep bustle is designed to close the gap between the hull and the water, to prevent the passage of leeward air, which disturbs the sail plan, unquote, explains Phil, how do you pronounce that name? Philibert, I guess. Chenet.
Chenet, yeah.
Platform leader of the British Challenge, a French gentleman, of course. I've met him, but as I said, I don't know him. The AC-75s are energy-hungry machines, so watts meaning energy, power, have to flow freely for the few dozen minutes that a regatta, meaning a race, lasts. While the hydraulic foil jacks are controlled by a fleet of one-design batteries that you can change between races, sail trimming uses exclusively human energy from the pedals of the grinders seated on their bikes, the cyclors. In this area, American Magic has been particularly innovative. The cyclists, as you know, as we've discussed, are lying down. They're recumbent, which has made it possible to lower the deck line of Patriot, the New York Yacht Club's boat, by some 30 centimeters, which is a lot, a third of a meter almost. Excuse me, I'm going to cough, Julia. Excuse me. A winning configuration in terms of aerodynamics and lowering the crew's center of gravity, but, quote, less efficient in terms of power developed, unquote, according to Benjamin Mule. Now, one hears, I'll do as an aside here, one hears that something like 8 to 10% less energy able to be created at continuously because the recumbent bicycle is, but New York thinks, that is Britt Ward, Scott Ferguson, and the rest of their design team thinks that the lower ring of the freeboard, especially in the back end, more than makes up for that energy deficit.
That could be.
We will see. There's a great word coming up here, you wordsmiths, you mavens. Still on the subject of the men on board, while all teams have symmetricized,
yes,
symmetrized, I think they meant symmetricized. I looked the word up, it does exist. Their crews, meaning that they're not switching from side to side. They're symmetrical about the center line of the boat. They don't change, which is we saw the Italians doing last time, and now all the teams are doing it. So they've symmetricized their crews, as in the AC-40s. No one crosses anymore when changing tacking or jibing. Maneuvers, as SailGP would call it. The helmsman and trimmer are side by side on the American boat, whereas they are in line on the competitors' boats. Quote, you lose aero, but you move the crew's center of gravity forward, which means you can load the foil more and the rudder less, explains Dimitri Despierre. Okay, so there's some interesting observations here. So I say we waited to get some experts, not these croutons that are commenting on YouTube videos and so on. Quote, the rule is strict on the percent, this is the last quote, the end of the article. Quote, the rule is strict on the percentages of modifications that can be made, and everyone has been investing in one track for the past 3 years. The big gain will be in the sailor's learning curve. How many times, Julia, have we said that on this show?
Yeah.
This is the whole deal. Not the whole deal, but it's a big part of the deal. On the architecture, you gain hundredths, whereas a successful maneuver means a difference of several knots, confirms Benjamin Mule. An opinion shared by Dimitri Despierre, who believes that this 37th America's Cup will put the spotlight back on the performance of the sailors, the men, particularly around what is known as mechatronics, which enables several simultaneous actions to be combined in an automatic and calibrated way, electronically and mechanically. Quote, in the old rule, these control loops were possible, but we work on closed loops, meaning that we can program, but now we work on closed loops, meaning that we can program target values to be reached. We've opened Pandora's box, and there's no limit to what we can do. We'll be seeing the results from the end of August. And if that ain't fly-by-wire, I don't know what is. And there's still got to be human intervention in that circuit.
Mm-hmm.
But as he says, we have opened Pandora's box, and we've also opened Pandora's box to cheating probably more than ever, because who's going to know if there's a little switch being thrown somewhere that allows something to happen that doesn't otherwise happen. Now, you know, the scrutineers, as they call them in Formula One, the engineers, the team, the inspection team, including Stan Honey, I believe, is part of it. Yeah, well, they'll go on and we'll see. Okay, so that is that article from Tip and Shaft today, just before we went to air. Say again?
It is interesting.
I agree. Fritz Mueller, Gordon Smith, yeah, this is fascinating. I commend it to you. Go look at Tip and Shaft. It's free. The newsletter comes out every Friday. It's mostly about big boat sailing. It has a French focus, but it's really good. And you can almost always glean something out of there which is new and fresh and interesting. And again, I commend it to you. Great article, Ted Ryman agreeing. Thank you, Ted. Okay, other news. It was announced today by ACE, America's Cup Events, that there will be an America's Cup tour starting in just 25 or 6 days. And that tour is going, as you can see, from up north in Catalonia, along the coast, back down to Barcelona. The official trophy tour of the LV 37th America's Cup will take the America's Cup to 7 Catalan cities, building interest, spectator interest, and so on. From June 25th to La Scala, through Palamos, down Sitges, the big beach, north, up big. I've not been to Sitges Beach myself, but everybody that says it's cool. Also to Tarragona, that's the port, which is south of Barcelona. Cambrils, I don't know where that is, and then back up to Barcelona on July 1st. Clayton Embley saying, back on that last segment, excellent point about cheating. Of course, I have to ask, can the software be manipulated? Of course it can be, which is exactly the concern. But back here on this America's Cup tour, they're also going to be touring the other trophies from the 25th of June to July 1st. It's not a very long tour. The oldest trophy in international sport is from their press release today. We'll tour along the Catalan coast, stopping in the naming of towns again before its official arrival in Barcelona, where it will be on display with the Puig, Pooch, I think is how it's pronounced in Catalan, Women's America's Cup, the Unicredit Youth America's Cup, and the Louis Vuitton Cup trophies. Yacht clubs and sailing organization, I like this that they're doing it at yacht clubs, will showcase their facilities, celebrate local traditional fishing communities, nice, enjoy fine local gastronomy,
yay,
and learn about both the history and present day of the America's Cup Regatta. This gastronomy thing, which is a big deal in Spain, in France, in Europe.
Absolutely.
But particularly in Spain and France. Next year is the year of gastronomy, apparently. I don't know if this is the EU has declared this or if it's, but it is next year, at least in Spain, 2025 is the year of gastronomy in Spain. So they're starting to promote that and tie that in as well. I should set this up. Now, in the meantime, you start to worry about security. We've talked about it, but there's been some vandalization of super yachts in the America's Cup Harbor in recent days in Barcelona. And I've got 3 videos. We're not going to dwell, well, I am dwelling on it a bit because it is of concern. And here's the first video from Superyacht News.
All right, we're going to start with our first story, and this is about vandals striking again in Spain. Now, you might remember a video that we did quite recently of Motor-Yacht Chaos being attacked. Well, this is a very similar MO here. The Spanish vandals struck again in Barcelona on Sunday. This is the day the Formula One Grand Prix was on, when a group of them poured black paint onto a 138 metre, which is 450 foot, superyacht in Port Vell Marina in Barcelona. Now, David Geffen is the owner of the vessel, named Rising Sun, and he was aboard at the time, as well as Kris Jenner, who is the mother of Kim Kardashian, and her boyfriend Corey Gamble was on board, plus other celebrities at the time of the attack. Now, the yacht, believed to be worth about $300 million, was targeted in not only the very same marina, but the very same berth as Motor-Yacht Chaos was attacked in last year. You might remember that that boat is owned by Nancy Walton-Lowry, one of the heirs of the Wilmot fortune. Her boat was attacked in very much the same way, probably the same people. Now, the security at Port Vell, that area, I've been in Port Vell many times, and that area is actually guarded by security guards, so they are not doing a good job, if they're doing a job at all. It's either that or they don't have enough security, but it's currently unknown why the security did not stop them from gaining access. Also, one of the reports that we saw said that the police were actually there on scene. Now, it doesn't say whether they were there during the vandalism or if they arrived afterwards, but the police were there at some point, but still no word as to whether anyone was arrested for what happened. Now, the yacht's crew quickly cleared off the paint from the side of the yacht. I don't know how well they did. They did it. The photograph there you can see clearly shows that the paint has mostly been removed, but it still looks pretty nasty. Now, the yacht left that evening. I don't know whether it left because of what happened, but it left anyway, and it headed down to Mallorca, where it's now at the relative safety of a bay there near Palma.
I mean, this is croutonic, as Ted Ryman says, on many fronts, because obviously, Julia, this is going to discourage super yachts from coming into Barcelona, Port Vell. This is not the first time it's happened. You worry about, look, I lived in Spain for almost 10 years. We know that, things are a little more relaxed in Spain, security and otherwise. So you got to hope that they get their act together, security-wise. Yeah, Rising Sun, by the way, which is now David Geffen's boat. It used to be Larry Ellison's boat. I've been on that boat a few times. And Bing Bong! Bing Bong has joined us, throwing paint into the ocean, very environmental. Well, I got another video. This was the attack on the Walton yacht from some months ago. Have a look at this, because this wasn't about the environment or carbon. This is what this whole thing is really about, in my never so humble opinion. It's about an attack on capitalism, an attack on billionaires, and it's a socialist Marxist attack on carbon society. Well, I think it has less to do with carbon.
Yeah.
Graham Sweeney, next year I'm going to take my boat there for its paint job. So here comes the poster that proves it. This isn't about carbon. Billionaires should not exist.
Except if you give the money to me.
Yeah. Give us your tax dollars and then pass it around to everybody. So that's independent TV from some months ago when the one of the Walton heiresses, which in Walmart in this country, right, Julia? Now here is another video shot about the sad defacement. This is by the Associated Press, and in their headline, the AP called this a daubing. A daubing. I thought that's what you did when you powdered your nose. Mm-hmm. And they're protesting apparently fossil fuels, and they did not only Geffen's boat, but then they also did this boat Lion. Again, as Stingray knows, these are all right there around the corner from Alinghi's team base. They're anarchists. Graham Sweeney's right. They're anti-capitalist. There's the police in action. And I'm sure they've been told not to cause a problem, let them do their demonstration. The crews are rich, the owners are rich, and they will go fix their yachts. Probably bought the paint at Walmart, Bing Bong is saying. Maybe they should get a job. Yeah, well, it's a sad situation, and it's one that that they're going to have to deal with in Barcelona going forward, or else this could be not so pretty there. I have some, I wanted to end with good news. We've been telling you about Magnus's new book, There Is No Second. It is out. It has been read by some of you. Who was it? Does Graham Sweeney have a copy, or the Gillinghams have a copy? Somebody's already probably into several paragraphs, if not, or chapters, if not read the whole thing. But Magnus has pinged me, Julia, and he's sending us not one, but two.
Oh, good.
One for you to have upstairs in the Commodore's quarters and show all of your fancy friends. And one for me to put behind here, me.
Yeah. To show all your fancy friends.
Well, I'll show the Fosey and show everybody else.
Sure.
On the show.
Oh, that's great.
I promised him we'd put it back there. Maybe we'll put it under the yearbook. I got to turn this way. The yearbooks of the New York Yacht Club, the St. Francis Yacht Club, the Gstaad Yacht Club, and the Racing Rules. We keep those close at hand in case you ever have to check up on somebody.
Yeah, and you do.
And we do. J. Frederick Bland is saying, coat or smear a surface with a thick or sticky substance in a carelessly rough or liberal way. She daubed her face with night cream. A painting executed without much skill. Thank you,
yes.
Mr. Wordsmith.
Indeed.
But to me, a daub is kind of a light tapping. I didn't know it was. Okay, so the word AP maybe used the word properly. I would, I would have used the word vandalized. Huh?
Yeah.
Magnus the Magnificent. His book is out. There is no second. Get it, because I understand that it is really, really good. And we're looking forward to getting our copies here. And thank you, Magnus.
Oh, yes.
For sending them our way. He says they're already on our way.
Oh, great.
Are you happy about that?
Yes.
Will you read it?
Yes.
Will you do a book report?
Sure.
Okay. We're counting on Julia to do a book report for us in a future show. And I said it'd be a shorter show. We're only an hour and 30 minutes in, Julia.
No.
Huh? It's only,
not over yet.
It's not over yet. A shorter show indeed. We're to the last leg. And in the last leg, I have a video. It could have been in the America's Cup section, but this is Hannah Mills, the esteemed, most decorated female Olympian, right? I think. And she has done a video updating us all on the Athena project. That is the Ineos Britannia's women's and youth project, America's Cup teams. And it's a really nice video. Have a look.
We're coming towards the end of May now. We've been sailing for about 4 weeks here in Barcelona. We've had some amazing sessions on the water. We've had loads of light winds. We've had some big waves come in, really pushing us to the max and just learning all the time. It's been absolutely incredible to get out on the water. The boat, the AC40 is just an incredible boat to sail. Over the last 4 weeks, we've had the core team kind of here running the boat, getting it on the water, sailors sailing, but we've also had our Olympic sailors who are obviously at the moment really preoccupied with the incoming Olympic Games, but they've managed to squeeze in a few days out here with us to get on the AC40, see what it's like versus what they've been doing in the sim, and that's been super cool to have them come out and do that. We've also had our base opening on the 17th of May. We officially opened our base here in Badalona. It was just a really cool event for everyone to let their hair down and have a bit of a celebration. So we've just got Artemis and American Magic moving into the same base as us today, which is really, really exciting here in Badalona. We're going to have 3 youth and women's teams all training from the same base, which is just awesome for the progression of women's sailing and the progression of youth sailing. So yeah, we're really, really excited for them to get here properly and to be set up and for all 3 teams to be out there ripping around on the water. So we're kind of moving into the next phase of the programme now. We've kind of done our upskilling phase over the last month of everyone kind of getting up to speed on the boat, getting time on the boat. Now we're starting to really push. You know, we're going out in higher wind speeds, bigger waves, and just really trying to push the boat to see what she can do. And yeah, I'm really excited for this next phase.
The Athena Pathway. I thought that was a great video.
It was. She's terrific too.
She is fabulous. And I think, Julia, the Aussies, the Brits, no surprise, the Aussies, the Brits, the Kiwis, and we'll see. Maybe the U.S. will be okay. Maybe the Canadians will be okay. But I think the Aussies, Brits, and Kiwis are going to be darn good in both the youth and the women's America's Cup events. Hannah is so nice, Ted is saying. Indeed, Claire
says, a little double, do you?
And of course, that's a play on words because that commercial was what?
I can't remember.
It was Brill Cream.
Oh, Brill Cream.
From
right.
back in the, tell me what, 60s, 50s or 60s.
Oh, at least
a little
50s.
dab
Yeah.
will do you. And that was back in the slicked down. What's that television show about the advertising guys from Chicago? Something Men. A little dab will do you, and they all have their hair slicked back, no doubt, by Brill Cream.
Right.
We used to, in the locker room after we were done with gym class, and we'd shower off. I didn't. But then a lot of the guys put Brill Cream in their hair.
Oh, good.
Mad Men. Thank you, Gordon Smith. Take a Brit living in Denmark to tell me about an American television show. I guess it's aired all over the world. Julia, we're to your favorite segment here. We're to Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Yeah, J. Frederick Bland's got it as well. And we have a couple submissions. They're clean. Both are clean for a change.
Yay.
I don't know what got into me. This from Boomer Bland, from J. Frederick. Speaking of hair, you see how we work that in?
Mm-hmm.
Jamaican Hairstyle Day is tomorrow, Captain Jean-Luc Picard. This was my favorite Star Trek. I don't know about the rest of you. Jean-Luc Picard. He's still around. Great actor. Mm-hmm. And he's saying, I'm dreading it. Huh?
Yes.
Don't you think that's clever?
Oh, it is.
Huh?
Oh, yes.
I have no idea if tomorrow is really Jamaican Hair Day or not, or whether there ever is such a thing, but I thought that was good. That courtesy of Boomer Bland.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jay Frederick. Now, finally, this from Ted Ryman, and also clean, especially for Ryman. The trouble with quotes on the internet is that you can never know if they're genuine. Honest Abe.
From Honest Abe.
From Abraham Lincoln. You never know if they're genuine, Julia. Ted Ryman sent that through. And Madison Avenue, Madman. It wasn't Chicago, it was Madison Avenue. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's a good one, don't you think, Julia?
Yes, I do.
Which does, in fact, get us to the finish line, and we've done another show, and under 2 hours, Julia. It's an hour and 36 minutes.
57 seconds.
Almost hour and 37.
Yeah.
So under 2 hours. It is a little shorter than usual. We're dropped 0 frames again.
Yay!
Like 5 shows in a row. We're to the finish line, and you like to say...
Oh, yes, this is a grand opportunity to like, follow, and share.
And not share to your, well, you can share to your email if you want, but as you were saying on the show the other day, you're really sharing it to your Facebook page.
Yeah, right.
Or to your own YouTube channel. And thanks to Tierra DeYoung down in SoCal for saying thanks for the show. We hope all of you have a great weekend. Julia, thank you for all you do. Comments are always welcome. We do go back and read them because they're so bright. So many bright people on there.
Oh,
so,
yes, I really do learn a lot every
so
time.
Illuminating.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Thanks, Clayton Embley. Thank you, the Gillinghams. Thank you, Joe Holtzman. And we also like to say, you want to do this one?
Thanks for your support.
Yeah, you can look right at your monitor. See, I got your camera right above your monitor now, and you can read that.
Yes.
Just like it's a teleprompter.
Thanks.
And there it is.
Oh, from patreon.com/join/sailing illustrated.
Indeed.
Will get directly to us.
We'll get $1 or $2 a month. We appreciate it. And Alistair Murray is saying thanks. What a nice picture that was. Mm-hmm. He didn't know where I got that. That's his profile picture on WhatsApp. You know, not to pad the end of the show, but what is really interesting, I text with you and most of our kind of local friends and family.
Yeah.
Because we're all on iPhones and we have iCloud and it's free and yada, yada. Yeah. And most of the rest of the world uses WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. So with John Emmett and Alistair and a bunch of the Andrews and Pindar and McIrvin, we're using WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. But most of the FOSI, you know what they use? Facebook messaging. Because we're all on here. They know how to get us. So I have to look at all those things before each show to see who sent us funnies or comments or otherwise, all of which we appreciate very much. As we also appreciate those of you, and maybe not you, but others who have given us video, audio, and images for today's show. There is the list. We appreciate it very much indeed. Final thoughts, Julia?
Oh, I just hope that the world stays on an even keel for a while.
There's Anna Bergqvist. There's Anna Bergqvist. Thanks for your show. I see that you like Swedish chocolate. You think?
Yeah.
You know where that came from?
From her?
No. I got to put it on camera one here. That came from Gordon Smith in Denmark. That's where that came from. And that's why that is there. So they must use your Swedish chocolate, distribute it, sell it also in Denmark. Okay, Anna, thank you for that comment. Fritz Mueller, that's a good start to our weekend, too. We so enjoy doing the show, don't we, Julia?
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
We so enjoy doing the show. It's worth every minute of prep work, which is not it's not insignificant to put one of these together. But we appreciate it. We love going live with you all in the comments from around the world. We hope you have a great rest of your week if it's Friday, and if you've already started your weekend, have a fabulous weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday, same time and same channel, YouTube or Facebook, 1300 Pacific. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and as usual, have fun. Ciao for now. And enjoy SailGP.